Welcome to part two. We're joined by Anthony. Anthony, where's Big John Fury hiding? Big fighting man in the ring or on the hard road? Where is he?
I reckon that I think I've said this before on your platform, Russ. That I reckon that John Fury, after that disgraceful headbutt out in Saudi, was put in a room and was explained how the world works. And ever since then, he's been a bit quiet. My view is that somebody said, "Oi, calm down, stop being such a shithouse," as we call them. And my view is, ever since that headbutt, he was got rid of, and we've just not really heard anything. Very quiet. He popped up a little bit, didn't he, with Tommy, and then he's disappeared again. But I think that something was said because a headbutt on live on international TV is one of the most outrageous things you could do, and is an immediate arrestable offence. And the fact that he got out of Saudi in one piece, to me, is a miracle, right? Because it doesn't always go that way out there. They might look like simple men, but they are underneath. You scratch the surface, underneath it, they're savages. They ain't messing about. You don't come on their platform and do that kind of nonsense. And in my view, he's had his balls cut off.
Well, what you've got to understand is they're not going to have him going round there terrorising Usyk's team with flying headbutts and screaming and ranting off and taking his shirt off and talking about wars and killing people and I'm a roadman and on the tarmac and all. It's absolute rubbish. And I personally think that they burnt bridges. I think they have.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. And what's happened is, obviously, with Turkey's money infiltrating boxing, you don't take his trousers down in front of the international media like that, do you? Because it has consequences, and very serious ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Uh, I want moving on from the adventures of a born liar. Then John Fury, 100 and 0 on the hard road. 100. I mean, when they come out with these whoppers, 100 fights on the hard road, right? 100 knocked out. One of them Irish bare knuckle champion for 100 grand. Can't remember the man's name. Right, that's in his interview with Wally Downs Jr. in The Sun. It's all their public record. When you've got born liars like this and you've got YouTubers with access and they're not pulling these people up about this, I have a problem with it. But I want to ask you about another one of his offspring, Tommy Fury, with the triathlon where he actually did a
What
1 mile
you
swim and then he jumped on the bike. There's 6 checkpoints for biking. That's how they determine it's been done properly. And he never got through the first checkpoint, did he?
what are you doing to me today, Russ?
Well,
You
I
give
mean,
all these
these
shit
people,
houses that we got to
yeah, these
fucking
people are
Tommy
getting
Fury.
away with murder, and nobody's pulling them up about it. The media don't say a word. I mean, why are they
Yeah.
fighting to death for these cretins?
Yeah, well, as I said on your platform, right? Journalism is saying and printing the things that people don't want said and don't want printed. Everything else is PR.
Okay, then, Anthony, I'll ask you this one, right? If any Fury told you something, any of them, and I mean any of them, would you believe anything that any one of them told you? Yes or no?
No, I wouldn't trust them to tell me the time in a room full of clocks.
There you go. That's good enough for me. Right, Moses Atoma against Usyk. Would it be career suicide if he fought Usyk, or a win-win situation by him gaining experience? If he loses against Usyk, he can say he lost to a goat and he gained the experience of it. But if he wins, he's like a Michael Jordan, isn't he? Because he's only had 26 rounds. Let's say he beats Usyk in a round. He's had 27 rounds. He's completed boxing, hasn't he? So is it a win-win for him? Because at the moment, we can only judge him on fighting these bin men and shot fighters that he's fought. But he's got his son in a position now where he's the next mandatory for the WBO after this one, isn't he? So he's in a position where he might have to fight Usyk. Do you think they're going to want Usyk and they're going to go for it because it's a win-win? That's how Bricktoppers sell it. Or do you think they'll rein him in and put him in with somebody like for a lesser fight, but for still the WBO belt, but for a lesser fight and less money? Or do you think they'll roll the dice because it's a win-win? It is a win-win. If he loses, he can say he's a babby and done no rounds. If he wins, he's Michael Jordan in it. What do you think Francis Warren, the housewife's favourite, will do? Who's the son of Brick Top? What do you think? Over to you, Anthony.
I think, given their stable, what would be the smart move is to build him slowly because then they have a dominant champion and they keep the belts. And the reason I say that, Russ, is this. Why give clearly a very talented up and comer, why give him a loss at this stage of his career? Because you do not know how it's going to affect him. Because and like we're talking about, for example, John Mugabe
Yeah.
earlier, right? As soon as he had that loss to Hagler, he had at one stage not the reputation. He had the statistic of never having a fight go the distance. He either won by knockout or lost by knockout. The moment he got ironed out by Marvelous Marvin, he was never the same fighter, right? There are so many fighters like that. Kell Brook's another one, right? I don't see why Bricktop and his son would rush him into a fight like that with clearly a man that's an all-time great that may expose him too badly for him to recover. Not all we don't know what he's made of because he hasn't been tested yet. So what you do is build a house on solid foundations, build him properly. That's my view on it. Do I think they'll do that? I think they will. I don't think they'll rush it because what's the point, right? In my opinion, they rushed Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Oh,
Right. I
strong
right.
coffee.
And yeah, and if he was built a bit better, right, he would have been able, because let's face it, he was done by Joe Joyce's jab. Are you telling me slow treacle Joe Joyce has got a piston-like jab that can do something? Imagine if you're putting him in with people like Larry Holmes. Imagine if you're putting him in with the Sonny Listons of this world, whose jabs were 5 times harder and 7,000 times faster. And more reach from Sonny Liston's case, right? He's not built properly because he's never had to deal with somebody with a decent jab. The same with Moses here, right? Yes, he's looking great against bin men, but let's step him up gradually, see what he's there, and you may well have a superstar. Don't snuff the fighter out for again a quick fix that ruins boxing, in my opinion, right? Everybody says that he was a schoolboy and he's sparring all these big men and whatever. Great. Build him properly as a heavyweight, right? Because the problems with heavyweights is that often, because they can all crack, once you take a loss, you're normally unconscious,
Mm.
right? So why expose any defensive frailties he's got on such a big stage so early? You may not get that fighter back again. And the world's littered with them, isn't it? Especially heavyweights.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Too right.
So I would hope that sense prevails and they take their time, not being silly like they were doing with Kell Brook, but they step him up gradually, right? Step him up, step him up, step him up. Because why do we need to have a narrative? My problem with modern day boxing, which I'm sure Marvelous Marvin would be the same, is that it's not about the boxing. It's all about a narrative to sell views and money. And my view is that if it's about the boxing, when we've got the right fights and the right fighters in there, it sells itself. It doesn't need selling, right? These guys are having all this fake beef and this and that, the other, because they need to sell it because they know it's probably not a fight that should be happening, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Alma has got all the time in the world to develop himself into a world-class fighter. Well, step him up and do it properly. The other problem that you've got is that you don't want to give him the Mike Tyson problem. Mike Tyson, in my opinion, was he was brought in just right. They gave him the right fights at the right time. The problem is that as soon as his mentor died, there was no guidance to guide that talent. And Moses Atalma is the same age, mate. He might have a similar thing. Let's say he beats Usyk, he might go off the rails. Has he got that maturity to deal with it and be a consummate professional like my idol, Marvin Hagler? I don't know. We don't know. All these are intangibles. And what you do, as you well know, Porky, because you've been in the game so long, is that you only find that out from fights at various stages. You
Yeah.
know, you only do it. And my view is, what's the rush? If boxing is going to be a sport that is always going to be there, well, create a dominant champion. If you create a dominant champion, all those guys are all getting paid. They're all getting paid. Why make him a busted flush now? What happens if he loses really badly?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. You know
Right?
what? And then don't he's ruined then, innit? But they'll not be bothered because if he gets mega, mega, mega dough, right, and losers, they'll say, well, we'll bring him back and he lost to an all-time great. He's only a pup and blah, 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 and he can beat everybody else. Well, fair
Yeah,
enough.
but will he be the same fighter? Because
Well, we don't know, do they? But if they're getting 30 million and Usyk's going to get 70 or whatever, because it'll be an £100 million fight. It's not as big as Fury Joshua. It's not that big. But if he got 30 and Usyk's 70, they're going to get 6 million off that 20%, aren't they? Right. And the manager, and that'll trickle down. They'll all eat off it and they'll all be comfortable. But maybe they don't want to put him in with somebody for like 3 or 4 million. Maybe they'll go for that and roll the dice because it is a win-win if they fight Usyk, isn't it? When you look at it.
it's a win-win on paper, depending that their fighter gets out of it. Okay, look at the Kell Brook Golovkin fight. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a win-win." He's not. He's not. His welterweight title isn't on the line. If he steps up 2 weights and loses, then it's no skin off his nose. He was in there with a killer at 2 weights above him. It's not going to be there. Yeah, but the intangible was he got seriously injured. And as soon as he's seriously injured, his mandatory is called, right? Who's a very, very good fighter. And all of a sudden, he's going into that fight with that doubt in his mind. And in my opinion, that should never have been there because I think that the Errol Spence fight for Kell Brook was a very winnable fight if he hadn't been absolutely fed into the grinder. In my opinion, against Usyk knows what he's doing. He figures you out. I don't care how good a Tama is. He's not going to outbox him. He's not going to outthink him, right? Is he going to catch him with a lucky shot? No, right? Is that skilled a fighter? He knows what he's doing. Why risk completely ruining the goose that lays the golden egg before he's laid too many of them? In my opinion, right? I think there's huge downside, particularly because these are heavyweights. When and heavyweight, once you're done in a heavyweight fight, the chances are you're going to sleep. It's not like, the referee's going to be able to step in and call it off, or you've got the embarrassment of pulling him out and people saying he's quit or whatever. You don't know. And in my opinion, if you've got a guy that you believe is that talent, build it, and then you let him off the leash when he's ready. He's a
Yeah.
young kid. He's a young kid, and all these things they have pressure because and I know, Porky, that it's not only what we see in the ring, it's how the fighter deals with all the training, how he deals with the discipline. Then he's going to get all the fame and adulation. How does he deal with that? I
Yeah.
remember when Tyson beat Holmes, right? They said the only person who could beat Tyson is Tyson, which is exactly what happened. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. We don't want, the further you look back in time, the more you see into the future. My view is build the fighters correctly. Look at Froch. Look how well Froch was built,
Yeah.
right? That's an all-time great career, but it was built properly, step by step by step, and he got the big fights. And when he needed to, because he was built properly, he had the ability to dig in and gut it out when he should have been out of there. Groves one, for example, is the perfect example of that.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Don Charles. Uh, is he selling crack now on the streets
Well,
on streets of Brixton because John Coffey's kicked him
gone now,
out of
isn't
touch. Obviously, the father, Joe Jackson, had a lot to do with that. But what has Don Charles gone bitter now? Do you think? Because he's screaming about money and money
he? Yeah, I
owed.
saw
Blah,
that.
blah. Has he gone bitter, or did he get too big for his boots? And did that first fight with Usyk after they didn't get the decision that they wanted when Usyk got hit in knackers? Has that ruined him as a person because he's never he's took it to heart, and he won't let it go, will he? That
Yeah, well, Russell, the problem with boxing is that the referee is in charge of the fight, and whether it's a low blow or not, if the referee deems it a low blow,
yeah,
it's a low blow,
yeah,
and therefore the fighter has X, Y, and Z to prepare. You and I have spoken about this,
yeah, yeah,
and the bottom line is when you see the actual punch, it was a low blow. And I think the referee called it correctly. If it wasn't a low blow, Usyk could have still got up and dealt with him. So the problem that you've got with Don Charles is that he's been around boxing, he's been used and abused, and when he's got a little bit of success, he seems not to be able to handle it because he became this obnoxious man. And in my opinion, he got his fighter absolutely starched the second time round with Usyk because Usyk wasn't having any of the disrespect. He said, "Yeah, don't push the horses. You're going to see what I'm going to do." I've never seen Usyk so spiteful, right?
giant.
And focused. And that, what did he call it? Ivan. That left was
You know what I
beautiful.
liked about Usyk when they were trying to take his belt off him, the IBF. He said, "Take it, I'll come back for it in a couple of years," didn't he?
And he
He said,
did.
"Take it, I'm coming back for that belt," and he did, didn't he?
Yeah. And why would a trainer, to me, it's the mark of a very poor trainer if you get your fighter badly beaten. So
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is provide any kind of motivation for the opposition. I couldn't find anybody more motivating for Usyk than Don Charles. I mean, what are you saying? Then you've got your Muppet son talking about, mate, the guy's a legend. What have you done? You can't carry that guy's jockstrap, so calm down.
Yeah. Okay. What now for Don Charles though? Food banks, do you think?
Either that or serving up, isn't it? As you
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Well, we've got. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. We've got 22 minutes left, and we've got
Oh, Porky,
10 bullet points.
you're a
There's 10 to
legend.
do. So 2 minutes a bullet point, then I'll wrap it up. Right.
Good. Of
Uh, Eubank and Ben, I've been told today that the mates and that
course they are.
it's all fake nonsense, all this suing and this and that. Nobody sues anybody in boxing. It all gets sorted out. Eddie Hearn's never sued nobody in high court in his life, not since his dad lost to Steve Collins. His dad lost £1 million for telling lies. And if you go and look at the transcripts from the Steve Collins versus Barry Hearn trial in Northern Ireland, or wherever it were, Dublin, wherever it were, Robert Water. Go and look at the transcripts and what happened there. Now, this is how I look at it, right? That I've been told they're mates, but do you see Eddie Hearn putting Eubank in court? Yes or no?
No, he's not going to do it, right?
And
The
vice
threat of
versa.
it.
If an ambulance blue lights on, you've got to get out of the way by law. Go and look it up online. Everybody has to get out of the way. Fire engines, police, the law, even boxing security people who work for Matchroom. So Eubank's out of order there. I think they're all in on it. Well, I've been told they are. It's the
Yeah,
biggest stitch up ever. There's no tables getting flipped over. There's no fucking raw eggs flying about. They're just looking for
it's all
ways
a
to win a
narrative.
bullshit fight.
Correct, which is why I said if that you need a narrative other than the fighting, perhaps that fight shouldn't be taking a place. The point is this: they are living off their old man's rivalry in the 90s, and
Yeah,
they do, excuse me, they're doing a very good job of creating narratives that draw the public in.
yeah.
And this is just part two of it because they're not, as you know, they're not leaving any crumbs on the table. They're doing this again because they want to spend just as much money. And believe me, this is just the start. There's going to be more narratives coming out.
Oh, listen, mate.
Mates.
Frank Smith's married to sister. I mean, who are they trying to kid here?
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it? The Eubanks, there's actually a YouTube video out on how strange the Eubanks and the Eubank relationship with Matchroom is,
Oh,
because obviously is their old man was the first big boxing star that they had,
yeah,
and then you've got Eubank's sister married to it's just nuts. As you said, there'll
okay.
be 1 minute it's a big beef, and the next minute they're I think I can't remember who it was who said that they'll be at Christmas dinner pulling Christmas crackers, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Come
Yeah,
on.
okay, right. Crusher Ben is ranked number 4 by WBC at welterweight. He's not fought
Yeah,
at welterweight for 3.5 years, April 2022. That's 3.5 years next week.
yeah.
Right, because we're into October then. He's ranked number 1 at £154 by BoxRec, which just makes a mockery of BoxRec. And BoxRec's just like somewhere to go to look at where the fighters are. I don't rate their ranking system now. He's fought two journeymen at 154 in
Right.
Florida and Vegas, respectively, two Dossers. And he's on his second fight at 160 now. He's not got a ranking at 160 anywhere. But why is he still ranked at £147 by the WBC 3.5 years later? Why can't they just throw him out of the rankings?
Commission and corruption. CC. That's what it is. We be crooks, isn't it?
Yeah.
They want to eat off a very big bonanza fight. Therefore, they give him the ranking to grease the way. So it happens. It's always happened in boxing, isn't it, Russ? And
Okay.
it's not good, right? But it's the way that big fights want. And you could see that Crusher Ben is being positioned not only by obviously people like the WBC, but also Matchroom,
Yeah.
because I reckon that they're going to stick him in there with Crocker at some
Okay.
point.
Uh, Rhino Macbedoff, who you got?
I like Makhmadov. I thought that he would have done better against Caballero, but I certainly well again it depends which Rhino turns up. If he turns up with the right mindset, I see he's going to have a couple of 3 or 4 difficult rounds, right? But I've got Makhmadov on that one,
Okay. Well, my kids, my twins are 13 in a couple of months.
right?
About 6 weeks, and my ex-missus, and they're Rhino groupies. So I hope Rhino wins, but I don't. The saying is a favourite, but I don't make him a favourite.
I don't make him a favourite.
Leopards
No.
don't change the spots, in my opinion, no matter what shape they get themselves in. It's a bit late in the day for me. I don't think he
He's
throws enough leather, and I think he takes too much punishment. So I think it's an hard night for Rhino, but I hope he wins.
correct. And he doesn't have the mindset. He doesn't want, he's just not motivated. He's always on YouTube, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just happy to be in the mix, and happy for people to recognise
Yeah.
him. But
But
he's
I don't
not
have
got
him
he's
favourite.
not got
All
the
right.
devil in him, has he, David? I don't think.
No.
Too nice a kid. Why is Lawrence Okoli nothing lined up? He's WBC number 1, BoxRec number 5. But he's got no slots. What is going on?
Well, he's not got the most fan-friendly
Kyle.
style, has he? Certainly when he was at Cruiserweight. How did he make that? That's another question. When he was down there, he was just the hug fest was terrible. I hated his fights, right?
Yeah,
But he seems at the higher weights to be a lot better, and he's not hugging and he's not doing this and the other. But the point is that he's not the money man, and he's a tricky opponent, isn't he? That's the
yeah.
problem,
I
right?
don't know how he made cruiserweight because £10 of it's cock. So I don't know, mate. I don't. I mean, Lawrence Okoli making 14 stone 4. Jesus. So no, I like Lawrence Okoli. He's a nice guy, and maybe his style isn't what it could be, but he was knocking people out, wasn't it, recently? But that last fight, maybe we can't judge him on that because he was injured. But I want to see him given, 2 or 3 more chances to get back in the mix. But
Yeah.
let's hope he gets some good
Yeah, he
luck. I
doesn't
like him.
sell, does he? That's what it is. He's a hard sell,
Well, it doesn't help when
and he
people
shouldn't
keep
be.
slaughter. It doesn't help though when people keep slaughtering him. I used to slaughter him back in the day when he was Eddie Hills because he was shocking. But I
Yeah,
think since he's been with Joe, he's been letting his hands go. That last fight, he got
correct.
injured, so we have to give him benefit of doubt. But I want to see him get on. I like him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Right. All he needs is one breakout fight, and all of a sudden he'll be, if dare I say it, I reckon he could be the boogeyman of the division. Who let's not go there with Bacoli on that one, but
Yeah. But
he
Coley's
could
not a
be.
bogey, man. Don't be
No, he's
listening to Billy Nelson. Jesus, the guy's on
no.
crack.
Yeah, he's listen. He's digging his grave with his teeth, as somebody would say. He eats too much, and he's not a serious athlete
Yeah.
because you can't turn up to fights that overweight.
Listen, mate, you can't turn up to fights after you've just polished off a grilled crocodile's tail, can you? You know what I mean? It don't work like that.
you using John Coffey's gloves as well. It's taking the piss.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Women's boxing, is it nearly over?
I never thought it began.
Yeah.
Right. My view is that it was all how do you say it? It was a narrative that they're selling us to get women in boxing. Because let's have it right. Okay. Do we really want to see women fight? They're not as strong as men. They're not as explosive as men. They're not as fast as men, right? Do we really want to see them fight? To me, it was always a Sky narrative what they had with what's his name, Shalom at Sky, and it's a narrative that has fizzled out because the narrative is that men and women are equal when clearly we're not. We're just not. Porky. I think it works in terms of mixed martial arts, but the reason I don't think it works in boxing is they got 2 minute rounds and it's ridiculous. If you've got women boxing, why don't they do the same thing as the men? Because at least you've then got the comparative sports because they're two completely different sports, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think that women's boxing would be better if it was maybe you cut down the rounds and you had for women's championship fights, you had 10 rounds, but they're 10 3 minute rounds, right? But boxing, in my opinion, has always been over 3 minutes. When you cut it down to 2 minutes, it's a completely different fight. That's why often good amateurs do not transfer well to good pros, do they? Because what happens is in that extra minute in the round is when you really see if somebody's got the pedigree and whether they can bite down in on their gum shield. And often, a lot of good amateurs can't do that. Often, some of them do that. But that is the acid test. And you don't do that with women, which is why the sport, in my opinion, hasn't gone anywhere. And then you've got wailing idiots like, what's her name? Carissa Shields. Oh, God. Why can't someone just lay her out? Because, God, that woman is just so. Well, let's
She
not go
wanted
there.
to fight Layla Ali, isn't she?
Again, why are we having a fight like that? And the problem that we've got is that it's just not deep enough as a sport for us to show quality. It's just not deep enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Who's the best Ingle fighter ever? I had a discussion the other day with this, and I went for Kell Brook, then Ryan Rhodes, then I don't know after that. Maybe Errol Graham or Naz, because
Ooh,
Naz did everything wrong in my opinion. But I
correct.
think technically Kell Brook and then Ryan
Yeah,
Rhodes. What do you think?
right. Well, I didn't know that because I didn't hear that thing, but I would have, because I saw the note, I would say Kell Brook,
Yeah,
then I'd go Harold Graham,
yeah.
right? Ryan Rhodes after that. I agree with
Ryan
you.
Rhodes fought at wrong weight for years, didn't he? Until Bombay Dave got him to the right weight. I know I give
Correct.
Bombay Dave some stick, but I have to tip my hat to him getting him in that shape at 154 because he
Yep.
absolutely schooled Jamie Moore, who were red hot at
Yep.
the time and smashed Macklin up, didn't he?
Oh, it's a lovely fight that was.
Yeah,
I really loved Kell Brook was very, very good at everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Very good at everything. Very good boxer. Very, very responsible defensively. He had good power in both hands, right? And you can just see technically he's very. If you wanted to see a perfect boxer, tell Brook ticks, in my opinion, all those boxes. The problem was, and what is it with Ingle fighters? They're always badly managed. Why would you throw him in there with a killer? Number one. Number two, the reason I say Harold Graham is that, as you know, my late mate Errol Christie, avoided him as everybody else. We could even argue that he was going to be slating to fight Hagler and whatever. Could he have won the fight against what's his name? The body snatcher guy. What's his name? The
Mike
guy who just
McCallum.
recently. Yeah. Could he have won that fight? It was a split decision. Maybe he'd done things differently. He just got too cocky against Julian Jackson, and there you have it. Is all she wrote. But how the hell he didn't win a world title is an absolute mystery because he was a very good fighter.
Yeah, he was.
Very, very good fighter. Did everything right. Was a nightmare for people, right? And nobody wanted to fight him. He was the chairman of obviously the Who Needs Him club. So as I said, between those two, I'd probably say Kell Brook was better.
We have to give Flex some credit here. We've given him stick because people have got doped up on his watch,
Yeah,
and that technically isn't really his fault. But in my opinion,
he's
it's
actually he's produced some very, very good fighters.
he's done
Very
well,
good.
Dominic, and he don't get a fair shake from EIS, because they all go to McCracken, not off at conveyor belt. And I think people doping on his watch has really hampered Dominic. But what he done with Kell Brook, I tip
Yeah,
my hat off to him because I think Kell Brook was probably the most complete fighter that this country's ever had, really.
yeah,
And then they
and
stuck
it
him
was
with
all.
Golovkin and killed him off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all pissed down the road for all right, it's a big payday, but it's not that big because the fights that Brooke could have had, think about it. He could have had really decent fights against Errol Spence. Then we would have had he was done by the time he got in there with Crawford. All those fights at welterweight, in my opinion, were all winnable for Kell Brook if he stayed in the right weight class because he's a very tough and a very strong welterweight. The only thing about Kell Brook is what he's doing outside the ring is of a very interesting discussion. But I'd agree with you. Technically, he's a very, very tasty boxer and
Yeah.
very, very good. Yeah.
Okay. Anthony Yard Benavides is not far away now. Couple of months. Well, it's about 6 weeks, is it or something? Who have you got?
I've got Benavides for that one simply
Yeah.
because I think Yard's career is just a what is it? You would call it a masterclass in how to mismanage a very talented fighter's career because he's either fighting Latvian Deliveroos or killers, and it's been done again and again, and they just rinse and repeat it. He fought nobody, 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 and then went up and fought Kovalev, who still had something left. All right, he lost on that fight, but what it took out of him and what it showed in terms of his potential, they should have built him back properly. Instead of that, what did they do? Deliveroo drivers, one after the other, one after the other, and then all of a sudden, then they're throwing him in with Beterbiev. And I just thought, come on. You need to be able to have those fights. And all those fights are all there in England for him to have. Him and Boazzi should have happened years ago,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. We'll finish off on this last one then. Terence Crawford, Don Canelo was sparring. Was having Bivol as the chief sparring partner for the full camp and paying top dollar for Bivol. Was that something that gave Crawford confidence because people are saying, "Oh, you're jumping up weight divisions. You're not a superhero. Weight divisions there for a reason." Blah blah blah. But yet he was handling, apparently, according to people in the know who speak to me regular, he was handling Bivol very, very well. Is that a sign that he might want to go up to light heavyweight or go down to middleweight? And is he an all-time great, Crawford?
I would say, yes, he's an all-time great. He's the one fighter that reminds me of Marvelous Marvin because what I like about Crawford is there's no frills. It reminds me of Marvin when he walked in for the Hearns 1 fight. It's just him, two Petronelli brothers. He's in a tracksuit in Las Vegas. That's it. Terence Crawford reminds me of that. He does the work. He's disciplined. There's none of this Tank Davis nonsense that you get outside the ring. And he's all about business. I absolutely agree that if he was sparring Bivol, you definitely saw it in the fight because he wasn't troubled with Canelo's power in any way, shape, or form. I don't think he should go and try and campaign at light heavy. I think that what he should do is come down and deal with everybody at middleweight, which I think he could do. I do think he's an all-time great because again, when you look at his age and who he's now beating, right? He's there. He's good. I don't think he should go in there with Mayweather because what's that going to do for him? What, beating up a 50-year-old guy? It's not going to do anything for him. I actually don't even think he will take it because it's not a serious fight,
Don't you?
you know. But I don't think he will take the Mayweather fight. But if he campaigns at middleweight, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see him perhaps have one more, maybe two more, right? And then that's it for him. But I do think he's an ATG, and I like the way he carries himself. None of the frills and all the nonsense and all the horse trading that goes on in the circus that we call boxing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's about it, really, kid. It's been fantastic having you on, Anthony. We've had a good blast tonight and a good
Well,
catch.
yeah, it's great. It's great. It's good to speak to you. And as I said, it was lovely to see Joe G and that at your house. And I just wanted to say to everybody that Russ is the consummate host. We all had a good time. I sprung one on him because he told me not to bring any sort of things, and I said, "Look, Russ doesn't know what he's dealing with. I am gonna pull rank on this, bring some ingredients, and then show him what a barbecue should be." And it had the perfect effect. Who was your mate that was sitting in the corner again? I could never remember his name. The big guy.
Matt, he's a
Right.
trainer at Chris Smedley's gym. He was sat with Chris.
Right.
Yeah.
He was watching me and he goes, "You had a big smile on your face when Russ and your other half said, oh, you could do the barbecue." And I said, "Yep, because I know what was coming."
You're a
And it
good,
was
you're a
brilliant.
good cook, aren't you? I mean, I didn't want to be stuck there, but sticking burgers to grill, and I ain't got a clue. I'm a microwave daddy, me, mate. But
Yeah,
you've obviously, I didn't know you were involved in that kind of business. You know what I mean?
yeah, what
So,
it is that I've done pitmaster competitions, right?
yeah.
And there's nothing better than a good bit of soul food and some good quality meat. When Terry came, because when you said, you said, right, going to get Terry, I thought, right, let me put some meat on. So as soon as Terry lands, he's getting some food there. And Terry's going, what? Straight away? I said, just have a taste. But it was a brilliant event, and I've got to admit, Russ, you've got to do this again. You've got to do that again, and I'll be delighted to cook because what happens is when you've got good food, everybody's mixing, the whole atmosphere goes up, and it was a proper boxing evening, wasn't it? No, people weren't being silly or whatever. Just a really, really good boxing
Now,
evening, and I'm glad that you put it on, and everybody was a part of it. It was
yeah,
really good to meet
we're nice
all
to
the
have all lads here who come out channel as well. Well, most of them anyway. So, all right.
All right then, Russ. Listen, it's great. Thank you very much for having me on. And as I said, by the way, I actually picked Crawford to beat Canelo.
Good
So
man.
yeah, I know you did, and Terry didn't.
Terry got it hopelessly wrong, and he took a big L. All right, mate. You take care.
You too as well. Thank you very much again, Mr.
Cheers, Ant.
Brooks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
That was Anthony. He's out there in Mexico, a London kid, lovely lad, a chemist, very nice guy, and I hope he's all right, settled in his new gaff out in Mexico. And that's about it, really. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment, Max. I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. Don't get in touch with me until you're a bridge weight, mate. In fact, no, I think I'll change it, Max, to 19 stone 13. Because every time you used to get a pound under 20 stone, Max, you were sending me pictures of your big slabs of meat on scales. Go on, Maxie boy. I love you, really. You're dead loyal. You were good to me when I was dying for that 4 month at home years ago. All right, coming to see me every day just to chat nurses up. All right, Max. And everybody who's watched, peace out. Don't forget to jump on Porky's International YouTube. Go and have a nosy and hit that subscribe button. And hit the subscribe button on Porky's as well. Let's hit that 16,000. It's only took me 8 fucking years, but we don't buy subs on here. We're hardcore. Go on, pop, pop, bang. Time for some chicken and rice and a couple of Budweiser. Booyaka!